Early in the industry, many occurring production problems occurred, causing success to be very uncertain with most profit, paying for higher quality machinery. Britain retained important groups such as Scots, Quakers, and Protestants, while taking over Catholic France, who were Protestants and Jews. With increasing factory size, it became more difficult for younger men to start a business. A higher education was of more importance. In 1830 and later in 1860, inheriting businesses was more likely in Britain and Germany. Many women of middle class were set to a standard of femininity and were told to stay away from working class citizens. British working conditions were poor until 1850, when other countries proceeded to industrialize further. William Blake and William Wordsworth criticized poor and rural ways people lived. Luddites attacked factories in northern England in 1812, smashing machines they believed to be taking their jobs. Frederick Ingalls then wrote The Conditions of the Working Class in England in 1844. Ingalls blamed industrial capitalism for society's problems. After 1840, the average worker started earning more due to increased hours. The workers then earned more than ever before. War caused a negative impact on real wages and standard of living from 1792 to 1815. In the 1770s, the first factories appeared, powered by fast-flowing rivers. They produced cloth, yarn, and other fabrics made from cotton. The local cottage workers did not like the long hours and harsh punishment, and thus were skeptical on working in factories, however good the pay was. The cottage workers were used to working as their own boss, and at their own pace. They also disliked that factories resembled poorhouses, where impoverished people had to work for food and quarters. Because of this reluctance, factory owners used orphan children to run their mills. They were worked incredibly hard and were not treated well. However, they would have gotten this treatment anywhere because it was socially acceptable to use children that way. 1790 began an early pattern of rapid changing. As the change began, many factories were built in urban parts of the city, which resulted in a huge movement of people. Over a short period of time, families moved together to work in the factories. Since the head parent got paid, children often worked under their parents and did the mild labor. Children as young as 7 worked in dangerous factories alongside their parents for up to 12 hours on end. When technical problems rose, parents and adult workers began to worry about the safety of the children. Many manufacturers, Robert Owen, for example, began to worry about children's safety within the factories. As investigations went on about the safety of children, the Factory Act of 1833 was passed, which limited work hours for children. Although the act saved many children from dangerous injury, it also broke the pattern of children working with families. After this decline, many manufacturers began to hire subcontractors. These subcontractors could hire and fire people at their will. Many were family. The relationship between worker and the subcontractor was close and personal, which was important for the newcomers. Many new workers had traveled far to get the job due to hardships that happened in their own town. The Industrial Revolution began changes in sexual division of labor. Most jobs were designed for certain genders. For example, women and girls did the milking while men and boys did the plowing. Overall, men was the main gender that had the most jobs. By 1850, men were the primary wage earner of almost every household, although there were some women that worked as much as some men. Some studies agreed that married women from working classes didn't work for wages outside of housework, but women that did work full-time for wages came from very poor families. Though some women had jobs, they were only able to work at dead-end jobs with little pay. After a while of this happening, Britain constituted a new sexual division in labor, which caused a major development in history for women and their families, giving more jobs. Because of the openings of new occupations, put some women in danger. Women were able to work in the mines, but put their children in danger as well. Some working-class youth put themselves in other dangerous situations by working while pregnant or with children around with them. Parliament soon passed the Mines Act of 1842 to prohibit underground work for women, girls, and boys under 10. Now, even though there were more jobs, in 1850, more British people worked on farms than other jobs. The most largest occupation, besides farming, was domestic service, in which contained 90% of women. During this time, there were plenty of small craft quills and factories, with some societies of trade, but during 1799, Parliament passed the Combination Laws, which outlawed unions and strikes. The acts were created because of trade clubs and societies demanding a rise in wages. Workers were then furious at the act, disregarding and resenting these acts. Later in 1824, Parliament then repealed the acts.